Now, I talked about this on my Broadcasters podcast this past week, or just in a recent episode, the one I pushed out on August 21st. So I talked about the fact of how Apple Music now, or Apple, what used to be Beats One Radio, is now Apple Music One. And I'll tell you, I really feel like they're trying to go ahead and basically take the nationalized version of BBC Radio One, or BBC Radio in general. So Apple Music One will be the new music channel, basically, with a lot of different shows they'll put on there, which is not bad. Don't get me wrong. But what I really enjoy more than anything else is there's a lot of new music on there. They have a chart show. They have a few other things. It's taking somewhat of the idea of what BBC Radio does, a nationalized format, which I've been saying for a while now. And when I'm not podcasting, why doesn't radio do the same thing? They should not be trying to compartmentalize and do local radio. They're horrible at it. They are pieces of shit. iHeartRadio is the worst at it. Let's just be honest. You want to have some local programming on a nationalized radio station, go right ahead. So you can only have to fill a couple of hours. But Apple Music One and Apple Music Hits and Apple Music Country, which they all launched in the last week. This weekend, as I record this episode on the 23rd. Whenever I'm putting this out there, I forget. What I'm saying is that they're doing a lot. Rolling Stone put out a story saying that why Apple Music still cares about radio. They're trying to make it cool again. So again, they put it together. And again, young people do not listen to the radio. Maybe streaming radio might work. But again, if Apple Music is able to do this, unlike what Spotify does, they're actually offering live, engaging content and a chance to engage with artists. The artist part I don't care for too much. But the live music I do. I think it's a great thing to have. But we don't know how it's going to work out. And so, one of the radio types, Sean Ross, who writes his Ross on Radio column regularly at RadioInside.com, he talked about Apple Music Hits and Apple Music One. Because of the idea of how Apple Music Hits is going to be a very interesting feel of how the music is going to come out. Because they're definitely going for multiple generations, multiple decades on this particular channel. So they are a next generation classic hits broadcast, or broadcast format. Now we already know that broadcast radio is starting to go into the early 90s, or the 90s and 2000s gold format. So we already know that in Miami, that Totally 93.9, WMIA in Miami just started off, and more CHR and Hot AC stations are doing throwback weekends of the 90s. And there's also National Music Service also living there. So the plan is the music that raised you will be with the intended listener just around 25 years old. So Apple Music Hits comes out, and they're relying heavily on specialty shows with celebrity hosts. And they have good people on there. Listen, G. Donovan used to work in Tampa, and I think she used to work in Atlanta or New York, I forget. But G. Donovan's been around for a while doing radio, and she's been a lot of major city formats in Top 40. She launched the first hour. Then there's a second format show that will be with the station's Strombo, is his name, leading the second hour. But then they're going to have more. They're going to have artists that are going to be put on there. So interviews with music from guest hosts like Estelle, Shania Twain, Huey Lewis, Snoop Dogg, Nina Sky, Ciara, Meghan Trainor, and others. And the music they put out there, it's a very concentrated format. It's a lot of different music that's out there. It's very interesting. So Strombo, in this particular listening of the first day to sample Apple Music Hits, according to Sean Ross, he says that he talked about being able to listen to the station on your phone, your laptop, or on your watch. A very Apple take on a traditional at home, at your work, in your car usage liner that traditional radio would use. Another Apple connection is that most of the songs in that hour were songs that you would have heard in your first iPod. So the music that he would hear would be very familiar to American audiences. You might have had to listen to multiple formats to hear Queens of the Stone Age and Lauryn Hill. Beats One is a more global feel due to marquee presenter Zane Lowe. So Sean Ross says he's more interested about what Apple Music experts curate on any of the channels than I am in the artist's playlists. He's also the person who would want would watch more MTV if they went back to videos. Yes, he also posted another story about this where he says that he says that when Beats One launched back in 2015, he live tweeted for the first 2 hours, and the people who engage with him tend to be British friends who already knew Zane Lowe or serious students of world radio. And there's a little more attention to the postings about this now, but he says that the country album is a different story, but I don't want to talk about that so much. I'm just going to say the point is that, you know, you see what SiriusXM does with their charts. They're not going for global, but Apple is. So Spotify already gives you a global feel because of their charts altogether from what they do, but they don't necessarily, like their major music charts of their own that they promote, like today's top hits. It might be a little bit of a global feel, but more it's about an American feel, North American feel, I would feel. But you can see what's out there and what's being put on those lists because there are a lot of artists in a lot of different formats. Because in the global sense, a lot of Latin music makes into the chart, and Spotify reflects that. Same thing for the dance music and some of the music that comes from overseas in Europe or whatnot. Same thing affected here. Same idea. So, again, that's what's happening now as we're getting that. And my thing is that is radio going to do anything about trying to get themselves off their ass and not let Apple Music just go and basically just run them over easily? Because they are. Like, you don't understand how badly they're going to be able to go and just kill everybody because they are. They're just doing a better job of it. Like I tell you, the live radio for Apple Music is very well done. It's solid. It's very, very solid. It's effective. And it's something you can actually engage with. And I don't think people understand that you're getting the most out of that. But the live music they're doing right now, they have good jocks. They also have a different approach. They're not doing like super salacious stuff. It's about the music. This Apple Music One format, you could apply this to radio now. Like iHeartRadio should absolutely, if they're going to copy something, take this format, get rid of all your other stations. Like the big music stations, you know, your KISS FMs, your Z100s, keep them. But for every other market, create a nationalized format and then have local hosts for those particular stations. You're not doing any more money by putting other people on, okay? You might as well just go ahead and nationalize yourself, put local commercials into the local breaks, and then have some local programming, morning show, and afternoon drive, and that's it. Like, really, let the engagement go on to the other stations. Because Apple Music is already doing the right thing with this. They're engaging with their audience. They talk about their music. They promote themselves very well. But radio doesn't get that. And I could go on for hours about this, but I'm going to keep this short. So we'll just leave it there. I just want to say Apple Music One and Apple Music Hits. Just more things, and Apple Music Country, by the way. Just another way where Apple right now, which I now have subscribed to Apple Music for a while, see what it's like. They're just kicking ass, and they're just doing the further destruction of traditional radio. Because terrestrial radio doesn't know what they're doing. And I'm ashamed to see how this is going on. BBC gets it. Other nations get this. They can have their own nationalized formats. Why can't iHeart do this? They're not making any extra money. They already have ad rep firms that already run their ads. You might as well just go ahead and make it where it's a national format. You're only getting national sponsors anyway, and the few local sponsors that you get, they only want to advertise morning drive and afternoon drive. That's it. So quit fucking around. Get with the program. Learn from Apple Music. I'll tell you guys in the next video.